Hi everyone, this is Aishwarya. I'm so excited for today's video and I think you're going to love it. Let's go to the topic. And today's topic is Reformation in England. Okay guys, let's start with the introduction. The Reformation was a worldwide religious movement. It started in Germany. It spread to other nations quickly like wildfire. The German Reformation was due to Martin Luther's doctrinal clash with the Pope. But in England, the clash was purely due to the personal reason and the part played by the English King Henry VIII. In the beginning, Henry VIII was staunch supporter of Pope Leo X. He showed his loyalty to the Pope by banning Martin Luther's controversial works in England. Also, he published his assertion of the Seven Sacraments, rebuting Luther's charges point by point. The Pope was immensely pleased with the king's unstinted support. In the recognition of his sincere service, the Pope bestowed the title Defender of the Faith on Henry. Henry's harmonious relationship with Rome was strained when he wanted to divorce his wife Catherine of Rome and marry her lady-in-waiting Anne Boleyn. The Pope did not grant permission to the proposal. He, he he convened a parliament which was favorable to him. It came to be called Reformation Parliament. He got the parliament to pass a series of acts which curtailed the power of the Pope. First, Henry dismissed Cardinal Wolsey and William Warham, who could not carry out his wishes. He appointed his stooge Thomas Cranmer to the post of Archbishop of Canterbury. The Second Reformation Parliament cut down the fees payable to Catholic clergy. Third, the king's control over the church courts was tightened. Appealing from the English courts to Roman was forbidden. Fourth, the bishops were appointed by the king. The Pope had no longer any say that in matter was more people were exempted from paying annates. Here, annates means a part of their income to the bishops. Thus, the dignitaries of Roman Church were deprived of this power and privileged little by little. They become mere dummies. The Act of Supremacy, 1534. Henry VIII got the Reformation Parliament to pass the Act of Supremacy in 1534. This act dealt with the death blow to papal authority in England. According to this act, Henry became the supreme head of the Church of England. Whoever disputed this was accused of treason and put to death. Sir Thomas More and Bishop Fisher adamantly refused to acknowledge the supremacy of Henry. They were promptly beheaded. Their heads were displayed on London Bridge to threaten all dissenters into submission. This inhuman measure was counterproductive. Instead of driving people away from the Roman Church, it turned them against Henry. And next, dissolution of monasteries. Henry's treasury was badly depleted because of his lavish expenditure. To augment his resources, Henry dissolved all the monasteries and seized their wealth. He distributed the monastic land among his servile courtiers to create an impression that he was interested in religious reformation also. He got the parliament to pass the Statute of 6 Articles. Skeptics described it as a whip and 6 strings. There was nothing anti-Catholic about the provision of this act. The act inflicted death penalty on whoever disputed the doctrine of transubstantiation and such practices as confession, private mass, chastity, celibacy of the clergy, and use of wine by clergy in the ritual communion. All these were basically Catholic practices. Thus, Henry VIII showed himself as a supporter of Catholic religion and an opponent of only the Pope. Hilaire Belloc's assessment of Henry VIII as a king who tried to keep England Catholic without the Pope. The Reformation during the reign of Edward VI. The dissolution of monasteries. effected by Henry VIII was carried to its logical conclusion by the next king, Edward VI. He dissolved the chantries also. In 1549, the prayer book prepared by Archbishop Cranmer was prescribed. It was to be followed in all churches in England. The prayer book contained nothing new. It retained the Catholic doctrine of transubstantiation. The Reformation during regime of Mary Tudor, the Mary reversed all the anti-Catholic and anti-papal measures of her father Henry VIII. She abolished the English prayer book enforced by Edward VI. She tried to wipe out Protestantism by burning its supporters. Among the 300 people who were burnt were John Roger, Cranmer, Ridley and preacher Latimer also. These ruthless measures earned her the nickname Bloody Mary. Mary died unhappily in 1558. She was succeeded by Elizabeth. And Elizabeth defeated Mary Tudor and she crowned the England. Elizabeth undertook to heal the wounds caused by the rulers Henry VIII and Mary. She avoided the extreme measures. At the same time, she was particular about maintaining the sovereignty of England. She did not like England to become a slave of Rome. The Act of Supremacy bestowed on Elizabeth the title of Supreme Governor. This was in contrast to the title of Supreme Head of the Church of England, bestowed earlier on Henry VIII by the same Act. The Act of Uniformity required all the clergymen to strictly follow the prayer book in their services. Also, all the people in country were compelled to go to the church on Sundays. Absentees were fined 10 pence. The extreme Catholics and Protestants did not attend the church because of Queen Elizabeth's moderate stand. They chose to pay the penalty of 10 pence. The Reformation entered England because of the domestic squabble of Henry VIII. Later, the Roman Church was stripped of its power gradually by successive rulers. Through her mild measures, Queen Elizabeth established the superiority of the Church of England to Roman Church. She did not behead or burn anybody, so she was adored by the masses. And thus the Reformation was started and ended up with the Queen Elizabeth. I have given some questions here. Answer it in comments. Thank you for watching. Bye.